Welcome to my first video on my channel here on Cold-Hearted Crimes. We will explore the cold, dark, brutal, and everything in between. Today's cold-hearted crime comes from Channon Christian and Christopher Newsom. On January 6, 2007, Christian's vehicle would be carjacked. The couple would also be kidnapped, taken to a rental home, and repeatedly SA'd, tortured, and unalived. Channon Christian was a 21-year-old from Texas, but relocated to Tennessee with her family in 1997. She attended the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. She majored in sociology. She planned to graduate in December 2007. Christopher was a 23-year-old from Knoxville, Tennessee. Both were high school graduates, and Newsom played baseball in high school. Newsom would go on to become a carpenter. There were 5 assailants, 4 males, and 1 female. They would all be arrested, charged, and convicted. They are Latalvis Cobbins, Lamarcus Davidson, George Thomas, Vanessa Coleman, and Eric Boyd were indicted on counts of kidnapping, robbery, SA, and unaliving, except for Boyd. Boyd would later be indicted on accessory to a carjacking resulting in serious bodily injury to another person. 2018, Boyd was indicted on state-level charges of kidnapping, robbery, SA, and unaliving. 4 out of the 5 perpetrators had prior convictions. After a jury trial, Davidson was convicted and sentenced to his demise by lethal injection. Cobbins and Thomas were convicted to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Coleman was convicted of facilitating the crimes. She was sentenced to 53 years. Boyd was convicted and sentenced to 18 years for accessory after the fact to carjacking on the federal level. He was convicted over 10 years later on state-level charges. Here's what happened. On Saturday, January 6, 2007, Channon and Newsom went to dinner, and afterwards they were going out to a friend's party. Channon got ready for the party at her friend's apartment. Her friend left her at the apartment around 8 p.m. to head to the party, while Christian waited for Newsom. Newsom arrived, and they headed to the apartment complex. They would stand outside the vehicle for an embrace. It was during this embrace the assailants spotted the couple and decided that they were going to attack them. The couple was forced in the back seat of the SUV with their hands tied behind their backs and their legs bound. They were taken to Davidson's house at 2316 Chipman Street. Both Christian and Newsom were both SA'd inside this residence. The Knox County acting medical examiner testified that Newsom was assaulted with an object and SA'd by at least one perpetrator. After Newsom was assaulted, he was taken to a set of railroad tracks, where he was forced to walk barefoot to the location where he was unalived. There was a mangled dog leash found on a hillside leading to the tracks. It is believed Newsom was walked to the spot where he was unalived on that leash. When he was unalived, his hands were bound behind his back, feet bound together, gagged with a sock. He was wearing only a shirt and underwear. Newsom was shot in the neck and back. He survived that attack but was shot again in the head. That shot was fatal. The muzzle was pressed up against his head behind his right ear. That severed his brainstem. After unaliving Newsom, the perpetrators wrapped him in a comforter, poured gasoline on him, and set his body on fire. Christian was held prisoner inside Davidson's house, mostly in the north bedroom. It's believed Coleman held Christian captive while the male offenders were unaliving Newsom. The assailants returned to Davidson's house where they beat and repeatedly SA'd Christian. The medical examiner testified that Christian passed after hours of SA and torture, sustaining severe head injuries to her private area, front and back, as well as her mouth. The injuries were consistent with being SA'd with objects. The SA was extreme and much more than a simple sexual assault. I want to pause here because when I read that, I thought to myself, what is a simple assault? These crimes shouldn't be happening for it to be simple or extreme, but that's my opinion. It's believed she was tied to a chair and orally SA'd by Davidson and Cobbins in both her bottom private areas. Also beat and kicked in her groin, bruises and carpet burn covered much of her body, suffering extensive hemorrhaging to her head and groin. According to Davidson's confession, during captivity, she said she didn't want to die. While still alive, to remove DNA evidence, the attackers poured bleach down her throat and scrubbed her body, including her bleeding and battered genital area, with bleach. Bound in a hog-tied fashion with curtains and stripes of bedding. Her face was tightly covered with a small trash bag, and her body was stashed in 5 large trash bags. She was only wearing a camisole and sweater, tied in a fetal position, placed inside a residential trash can inside the kitchen of the home, and covered with sheets. Evidence shows that she slowly suffocated to death. Davidson left to spend time with his girlfriend and gave her Christian's personal items. Davidson also used Newsom's cell phone and was seen wearing Newsom's shoes. After Christian and Newsom didn't show to the party, friends began calling and texting, receiving no response. Around 11 p.m., two of Newsom's friends went to the apartment where the couple had been kidnapped and found Newsom's truck in the parking lot. They were unable to locate Channon's vehicle at this time. A witness who worked waste collection arrived at work on Chipman Street at 12:30 a.m. on January 7th and noticed lights on, and the house seemed busy for that time of night. The 4Runner was parked outside the house, and the porch light was on. He later observed the 4Runner drive by him slowly, and he noticed 4 black men in the car. Another witness that lived about a block from Chipman Street heard 3 pops from the direction of the tracks around 1:45 a.m. Newsom's body was discovered near a set of nearby railroad tracks on January 7, 2007 by a Norfolk Southern Railroad employee. Semen was found inside Newsom's body, but DNA was ruined by the fire. He was wrapped in a comforter with a sweatshirt wrapped around his head. His bare feet was covered in mud, indicating that he walked to the spot where he was unalived. On January 7, 2007, Christian failed to answer calls from her mother. Friends and family attempted to locate them, checking hospitals and filling out missing person reports. Assistance was requested of law enforcement, but they declined and informed the family they had to do it on their own because they were 2 adults. The family was able to obtain cell phone data from Christian's cell phone provider. Christian's phone had last pinged on a Cherry Street phone tower. Family and friends searched the Cherry Street area, and they located Christian's Toyota 4Runner between 1:30 and 2 a.m. on Monday, January 8, 2007. Several items from Christian's vehicle were missing: a teddy bear, photos, a phone charger, iPod. The front seat was pushed back. Christian would not have been able to reach the pedal, making it impossible to drive in that position. The floorboards were covered with mud, and that was not how Christian kept her vehicle. There was a pack of Newport cigarettes and cigarette butts in the vehicle, and neither Christian nor Newsom smoked. There was also an envelope located in the vehicle with prints that lead them to Lamarcus Davidson of 2316 Chipman Street, 2 blocks from Christian's vehicle. When police went to 2316 Chipman Street on January 9, 2007, it was unoccupied and Christian's body was located in a trash can in the kitchen. The bags Christian were located in had Davidson's prints on them, along with the box the trash bags came in. Davidson A.S. sperm was found in Christian's vagina, and anus whale Cobbin's sperm was found in her mouth. Several items found in the house belonged to Christian and Newsom, including Christian's purse, clothing she had in her vehicle, Christian's shoes, camera, photos that were ripped and burned, iPod and Newsom's baseball caps and driver's licensee. Several items had Davidson prints. Items from Christian's SUV were shoved into trash bags. Davidson's sperm was also found on Christian jeans, while Cobbin's sperm was found on her camisole, sweater, and jeans. Shell casings found in Davidson's house matched the bullets used to kill Newsom. After finding Christian's body and the presence of semen on her clothing and in her body cavities, a manhunt ensued. After several phone calls between Davidson and Boyd for information regarding Davidson's whereabouts, Boyd directed investigators to a vacant house. On January 11, 2007, Davidson was arrested in the vacant house. There, police found Newsom's size 9.12 Nike Shox athletic shoes and a .22 caliber high-standard revolver. When he was interrogated, he told 5 different stories. He claimed he did not go past the living room and that he never S.A.'d Christian. January 11th, Thomas, Cobbins, and Coleman were arrested in Lebanon, Kentucky. A seized computer showed that Thomas was watching the news to follow the investigation. A purse containing Christian's belongings, including a cosmetic bag, change purse, and Christian's overnight bag. Cobbins gave a statement to investigators claiming that he, Davidson, and Boyd drove to the apartment complex for someone to meet a girl. When they arrived, they saw the SUV with a female in the driver's seat. She was speaking to a male. Davidson and Boyd basically carjacked them and ordered Cobbins to drive back to Chipman Street. Cobbins said Davidson took the woman into the bedroom once they arrived at the residence, and Boyd drove away with the man. Boyd returned without the male victim. Cobbins denied having any sexual intercourse with the female victim. Coleman admitted to being present in the house during the crimes, claiming that she had been held hostage by other defendants. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed the story, please join me on Cold Hearted Crimes Daily. If there are any stories you want to hear, leave it in the comments. Again, thank you for watching.